8.9 magnitude. Now, we know that's a big number. It was the fifth largest earthquake in history. But you can only really understand the enormity when you see these pictures. An earthquake so strong it literally shifted the Earth's axis by about 25 centimeters. It all started at the epicenter near Sendai, 230 miles northeast of Tokyo. Shock waves that gave birth to a massive tsunami that started 35 minutes later, Saigai, the Japanese word for disaster.
That tsunami reached 23 feet high in some places, nearly twice the height of me standing on Chris's shoulders, for example. And that wall of water is primarily the cause of a death toll that is in the hundreds, but is certain to rise, with 88,000 people in Japan still unaccounted for. The tsunami is also what triggered so many fears in the U.S. today, as the entire West Coast and Hawaii went on alert. But tsunami alerts and warnings were not foolproof in Japan. The people there had little time to prepare, and even worse, few places to run.
It has SOS, helicopters, please land here. Today, Japan woke up to widespread devastation. It is hard to believe it's been just 24 hours since the most massive earthquake in recorded Japanese history. It began as a sunny Friday, much like many others. But at 2:46 in the afternoon, without warning, the earthquake struck.
This is the diet session recorded earlier, right when the earthquake hit Tokyo.
And at first, the people that I work with here in Tokyo, it was normal to them. And shortly after that, it started to get scary.
We are experiencing an earthquake.
Building with terrifying intensity.
Everything is falling. Holy.
As the quake rumbled across the country, school children ran in fear. Shocked supermarket shoppers tried to stay on their feet. Airport travelers dodged falling debris. And a TV crew setting up for an interview was suddenly interrupted. In Sendai, the city closest to the epicenter, books flew from shelves. Debris from buildings crashed to the ground as pedestrians ran for cover.
Oh, God.
189 miles away in Tokyo, confusion and then panic.
Kind of scary. This building's swaying across over here. Oh, scary moment.
Below ground, an American working in Japan captures this dramatic video in the subway.
This was somebody taking you but two hands and just shaking you constantly for a good 3-4 minutes and just wasn't stopping. I was amazed how long this thing was going. It just did not want to stop.
All right, I'm going to go under protest.
The quake lasts 5 agonizing minutes.
When the earthquake hit at its strongest point, it was so significant that I couldn't stand up in my room. That's how much the building was moving at the height of the main quake that hit.
And leaves Japan's capital city incapacitated. Trains stop. Power is cut to 4 million buildings. Phones are out. Flights trying to land in Tokyo are diverted to U.S. military bases elsewhere in Japan.
Also the closest city to the epicenter of Friday's quake. Paula Hancock's filed this report just a short time ago.
The devastation from Friday's earthquake and deadly tsunami is clear here in the city of Sendai. Now, we're quite close to the port here, maybe half a mile away, and you can see how far the mangled mess of these cars has actually been flung. You can feel the weight and the force of the water. And all the way up here, you can see cars that have just been flipped over onto their head. They've been wrapped around electricity pylons. Further down towards the port, you can actually see full-size trucks that have been smashed against buildings. Now, notably, the buildings themselves are still standing, but the devastation is pretty clear to see, and debris all across the tarmac here. Now, the reason we're not going further down into the port itself is because there's been at least 2 tsunami warnings. This is just in the last hour alone. You can see this is obviously from the earthquake itself. There's a lot of cracks in the road around this particular area. Now, people have been streaming away from this area. As I say, there have been 2 more tsunami warnings. Obviously, aftershocks are triggering these warnings. The police are moving people away. They don't want to take any chances. And you can see in the distance here this very thick black plume of smoke. Now, we understand from locals this is from a petrochemical installation. We've been here for maybe an hour, and it does to us look as though it's burning even more ferociously now than when we first got here.